What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of ESPN's 30 for 30 documentary feature, Be Water. Hey, before you watch my review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you would like to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this. First up, I would like to say thank you to ESPN for granting me the screener to this new docu, which, by the way, had already previously premiered at Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. But Be Water will finally hit broadcast, airing Sunday, June 7th on both ESPN and ESPN2 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, here's what you need to understand. There's a gazillion documentaries that already exist out there about Bruce Lee, many of which you can even watch for free on YouTube. So what I'm getting at is, if you're like me, a huge Bruce Lee fan, well then another documentary like this latest one is a bit of an overkill. Because if you already know Bruce Lee's story by heart, then a lot of the things that Be Water brings up here are practically old news. I mean, you would have to have lived under a rock all your life to be truly blown away by Be Water. The only elements that I do appreciate about this documentary are the reading of Bruce Lee's personal letters and the inclusion of the voice audio testimonies, not just by Bruce Lee's family members and friends, but also by the Hollywood executives who rationalized their reason for why the Tinseltown rejected Bruce Lee. Directed by Bao Nguyen, Be Water takes a look at not just Bruce Lee's final defining years, but also the journey that led to Lee's emergence as a global martial arts icon that connects the Eastern and the Western worlds. This docu chronicles his early days, raised in Hong Kong over what became at times a troubled childhood, sent to live in America at the age of 18 with only $100 in his pocket. He began teaching Kung Fu and met his future wife, Linda. And then he broke into Hollywood through a role on the Green Hornet series. But eventually, it was clear that Hollywood was not ready for an Asian leading man, so he returned to his parents' homeland, Hong Kong, and over the next 2 years, he completed 4 iconic films that turned him into a legend and defined his legacy that was unfortunately cut short when he died at the age of 32 years old. Be Water features his family and friends and collaborators who knew Bruce Lee best. Be Water starts out with the situations surrounding the first couple of movies that Bruce Lee made after he came back to Hong Kong. And then this docu immediately jumps to covering Bruce Lee's childhood, and then from there, it just goes chronological all the way to his death. From that very generic structure alone, this documentary doesn't offer any new insight as to what makes Bruce Lee tick as a person. And with regards to Bruce Lee's philosophy of wanting to be like water, hence the title, as deep and profound that philosophy is, director Bao Nguyen doesn't seem to know how to quite place it or address it properly, aside from just repeating the quote several times over and over again. So what you get is a tone that at times does feel uneven. As I implied earlier, the audio testimonies of friends and family members are a fascinating part of this documentary, although how much of that you would take at face value is up to you to decide. For example, one of them claims that Bruce Lee was sympathetic towards the Black civil rights movement in America and the Free Hong Kong protesters. We're just going with the assumption that because Bruce Lee faced racism in Hollywood, that he would easily empathize with these rising political movements. But we'll never know. So this audio testimony telling you that just comes across as making Bruce Lee seemingly an even bigger saint than he already is in the eyes of his fans. And that leads to my final point. You heard the commotion last year about Quentin Tarantino's rather denigrating depiction of Bruce Lee in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Bruce's daughter, Shannon Lee, had a hand in making sure that the movie never gets released in China. A lot of folks in the Asian community were offended by what they consider to be the film's misrepresentation of Bruce Lee's image. That and Brad Pitt's character willy-nilly slamming Bruce Lee into the side of a car. Look, I actually liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but as an Asian, I also understand the anger and the frustration over it. I don't doubt that Quentin Tarantino is a Bruce Lee fan, because otherwise, he wouldn't have Uma Thurman rocking the same type of yellow suit that Bruce Lee wore in Game of Death. But QT underestimated how eternally and highly revered Bruce Lee's legacy is to Asians. But that's also part of the problem, because documentaries like this one, like Be Water, continues to put Bruce Lee on a godlike pedestal, as if there's no complexity to Bruce Lee the human being whatsoever. At the end of the day, what I personally take away from Be Water and the other similar gazillion documentaries like it is the reminder that Bruce Lee was a trailblazer. He may not be around to see the impacts of his passion of revolutionizing martial arts cinema, but folks like Jet Li and Jackie Chan and Donnie Yen, who make it big in both Asia and Hollywood, all of that is thanks to Bruce Lee. That is what I take away from this documentary, which in all other aspects of it is highly redundant.